And we're recording to the cloud. Good morning, everybody. It is June 2nd, episode 467. My name's Sean Murphy, your head misfit. We call ourselves the Daily Misfits, the high energy misfits, because we don't quite fit in out there, but in here we seem to fit together. We seem to have similar opportunities of growth and awakening and awareness. So that's why we coined the name High Energy Misfits. So it is Tuesday, June 2nd. And the second day of the month, some great things are happening. Hope wonderful things are happening in your world. The conversation today is, what are you resisting? So when I was having some meditation this morning, one of the things that kept popping up was the idea of resistance. What are we resisting? What is resisting us? Right? And where does the resistance stand? Is something resisting us? Is it an idea? What is resistance? Right? If we're not being tied down or held against our will, what is resisting us from success? What is holding us back from success, from joy, from peace and happiness in this moment? What's resisting? What are we resisting? And what's resisting us? Is money resisting us? Is it on the other side of somewhere just going, I'm not going to Sean. I'm not heading over to Roz. I'm not going to Julia. I'm staying over here. Is something holding happiness back? Keeping it from flowing into your day? What is it? Where's joy hiding out? What next tree is it hiding behind that's keeping us from finding it? Do we have to go looking under rocks for happiness? Is it hiding from us? It's just a different way to look at things. Dr. Wayne Dyer would always say, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. What if it wasn't resisting? What if it's not being held back at all? What if we're not holding ourselves back? Is it sometimes how about somebody that's colorblind? I don't know if there's anybody that's colorblind on the call, but if there's anybody that's colorblind, when you see them now put on these new glasses, right? Glasses specifically designed for those folks who have color blindness. And the first thing they say is that what you see? Have you seen those videos? Where a new bride, that's the wedding present she gives her now husband, her fiance, is these glasses that lets him see color. And he's like, no way, is this what you see every day? How about people who get the implants and they turn on the cochlear implants? I may be saying that wrong. But all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh. Or the baby who can see for the first time or hear for the first time. It's overwhelming when we realize what's as close as our skin. So is the success you're looking for, is the desire, is the peace, is the joy that you're searching for? In the searching, could that be resistance? Are you playing hide and seek with it? And is it really hiding? Is joy hiding? Is money hiding? Is health hiding? You talk to Jeremy and he'd tell you health isn't hiding, it's right here. It's right in front of you. And these things that happen, when as somebody in a wellness company, there's people who will come to your house and clean out your pantry. You might be surprised what's hiding in your pantry or your fridge. right? Is that right, Jeremy?
Yeah, I'll do that for sure.
You know, these things that happen where we just sometimes can't let go of that. Oh, you're getting rid of the sugary frosted flakes, but they have but they're made out of wheat. They're made out of there's fiber in them. That's the word I'm looking for. There's fiber in them. Well, once you get through the 16 layers of sugar in the sweet, what might you be resisting? If Joe Dispenza says your personal reality is made up by your personality, or your personality is made up by your personal reality. If your thoughts influence your day, how many thoughts of wealth have you had this morning? How many ideas of success crossed your mind today? How many new thoughts, how many new ways to be of service to your team crossed your mind today? Since you woke up this morning, some of you might have just woke up. Have you had 10 ideas of service, 20 ideas of gratitude? We've got a handful of people on here. Go ahead and send out your messages of joy of gratitude. Have you sent out your 3 or 4 or 5 messages? And they're simple things to do. And as you begin to send those out, and as you begin to thank the world, you give space in your own world for thankness to come back. So as you sit here in this moment, just take a couple of breaths and be aware of what you might be resisting. What new ideas, what new ideals, the worthy pursuit of an idea. An ideal is a worthy pursuit of an idea. What worthy pursuits might you be finding yourself coming up short on? The idea, the concept that you should be in lack is, it's mind-boggling. It is. Now, I understand why it can happen, how it can happen based on programming, right? If we went to school and we learned anything, how did we learn it? Because somebody who knew it taught something to people who didn't know it. I didn't know math. I didn't do well in algebra. And I was in the part of the class that took like beginner's algebra, if there's such a thing. I didn't take physics and chemistry. I took elements of physics and chemistry. What have you been taught? And the folks who taught it to you did their best intention and did it by their best intent. But what was their source? What was their teacher? Right? We look at language, and you guys, we have a laugh together when I try to use some of the new local colloquialisms of, that's lit, or he's on fire, or whatever it is, or maybe somebody lit him on fire. I don't know, but I'm not sure how the language goes. But when I use it, it's like, God, he's so cute. That's so funny. Right? I asked one time, there's a whole episode I did where I had gone into Instagram and said, what's some of the quote slang language that you use when you guys are having conversations? And I got back 30, 40 words I had never heard before. Well, see, I don't remember them again because I guess I'm resisting learning that. I would probably be put in restraints if I started using that around my family. Mason would figure out a way to put duct tape over my mouth going, Dad, you just, no, you no, that doesn't, you can't say that stuff. So as you sit here today, just be aware if you've ever gone scuba diving, and as you go down in depth, you can start to feel the pressure on your body, right? And that's that outward pressure that makes it a little bit more challenging to breathe. If you've ever been at altitude and you start to see how there's not as much air and the resistance is less, it's a little more difficult to breathe because you're not getting in enough air. Resistance can always be an issue. So the question then becomes, what might serve you better if you were a little less resistant towards it? Are you resistant to meditation? I got to get that done. Resistant to journaling, to reading 10 pages of a good book every day? These are all simple things. Jim Rohn said a handful of things done consistently or a handful of things avoided on a daily basis. It's only a handful of things that'll help you win. Do you resist talking to a couple of people a day? Asking them to take a look at what you do? So I see we got a couple of hands up. Is it Amy? Good morning.
Good morning, Sean.
Good morning.
Can you hear me? Okay. So first of all, I would like to thank you for all you do for the community, and I would like to thank everyone who helps on this cause. Actually, my question, I have a question about energy.
Okay.
I've been like listening for I've been hearing a lot of this word energy when it comes to business, when it comes to success, and actually I was asking myself, like, how could you describe energy?
How would I describe energy?
Yes.
There's a book, Wallace D. Wattles in his book Science of Getting Rich says energy is. That bird that just chirped behind you is energy, sound energy. There's light energy. There's heat energy. There's all kinds of things that radiate from us. Energy is the thing that allows us to be in flow. The phone you're on right now is vibrating, and it's vibrating because it has energy in it at a molecular level. Nothing is stationary. So when we talk about energy, and we talk about energy in business, there's always an exchange of energy. Just like whatever you exhale, at some point, I'm going to inhale. There's a great book called The Last Breath of Caesar. And the last breath of Caesar says that by now, almost everybody on the planet has breathed in the last breath of Caesar. Now that's when you start to think about that, that's energy. So when we talk about business energy is always based upon the design of a meeting where somebody is the salesperson and somebody is the purchaser. That goes back to Zig Ziglar. Sales is a transference of enthusiasm. So that's energy. When you set up the state of the room, does anybody in their professional business, I want to be clear because some people may take this and run with it, but when you set up your state, when you set up the arena in which you're going to present, be it a hotel room, be it a coffee shop, there's light energy. Most business is done in the light, right? When we hear about deals that go wrong, they say, well, that was done in the dark. So there's energy all around every negotiation. Right now, we're using sound energy and technology and electrons and protons and croutons to send my image and sound to you. if the signal gets bad, what happens when the signal gets bad and somebody's voice goes, and we go, oh, your signal's cutting out. Your energy is cutting out. So in business, people become extremely sensitive to the energy of a business. And when we trigger things inside the human body with sound energy, right? Network marketing, this, that, or the other, we trigger particular responses in the body that get people to say something like, it's one of those things. It's a scam. Nobody makes any money. So the energetic information they hear causes them to give us a traditional or typical response. So it's very important, just like when a speaker gets ready to go on stage. If he's the first speaker, he gets to set the tone of the room for the next speaker. And in realizing that you bring the energy to the stage, how many of us have ever sat in an audience and had a speaker that was less than whelming? They were underwhelming as a speaker. Their content might have been good, their conversation might have been brilliant, but the way in which they delivered it lacked attention. And that's what I believe energy does, is it allows us to direct the attention of the listener. So as it relates to business, energy is wildly important. Energy is probably the biggest reason for my success. I deal in countries where I don't speak the language. I deal in cultures where I don't fully understand the cultures. How am I able to go do business in those marketplaces? How am I able to go be successful and build and create a community in places where I wouldn't normally flow? It's because of energy. So I believe it's one of the most critical attributes, because when you study public speaking, they say that out of the 100% of the presentation, out of the 100%, your perfect day, if you screwed up all of the words, which I normally do, if you screw up all of the words, the dialogue, you're only going to lose 7% of a score. So you could say that's where that phrase comes from. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person. So energy is wildly important. And you get to set the stage. My daddy said the one with the pen in front of the room makes the most money. And the way you get to the front of the room is to give people a reason to follow you. Give people a reason to allow you to stand in front of them and share a story. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
And now here, let me let you in on a little secret. You have an advantage over me. How's that? The way that your words sound are different than mine. Your accent is a huge plus. You may have seen it from time to time as, but nobody pays attention. I promise you, used correctly, your accent can garner you much more success than I could. Accent is wildly a benefit and a plus. Because when people remember you, they tell me how to say your first name.
My first name is Aimé.
Aimé. So
Yep.
People will say, the guy with the funny name, but you know that accent? Because you sound different. Different is what we're all searching for. So I would encourage you, as you speak, you can slow down your speech to let your words be heard so people begin to understand the accent. but that's what makes you unique. That's why everybody that's on here that's from the UK or someplace else, from Sweden or Serbia or wherever, Macedonia, we all go, oh, what a beautiful accent. And they're like, I don't have no accent. It's like, yes, you do. You sound different than the rest of us. So you have a unique capability to present yourself and to be memorable more than most.
Okay, makes sense.
Cool. Excellent. Good morning.
Thank you very much.
And now you add that hair to it, dude. Come on. And that big old smile. You're pretty much unforgettable. That's not the picture that was your profile picture compared to this. I had to look up again going, is that the same name? Because you came on when you started to speak, it switched to your screen over here on my other screen. Dude, you have a unique ability to be wildly rememberable and to create tremendous business relationships, because first of all, you're 1 in 7 billion, right? You already won a race, and it's time for you to begin to leverage some of that. I wouldn't hide in the darkness. All of the things that you have that you feel make you feel are different are things that we all want to be around, that uniqueness.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, my friend. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Awesome. Let's go to Alicia. Good morning, Alicia.
Good morning, Sean. How are you?
Outstanding. Am I saying it correct?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Whew. Or it could have been a Alicia. Good morning, Alicia.
This is really difficult for me. I have been resisting forgiveness.
If anybody has been resisting forgiveness, to give Alicia a little bit of to know there's some folks standing in her corner, type an F in the chat if you've been resisting forgiveness. So, okay, you're in good company, Alicia. Go ahead.
I have been resisting forgiveness to my parents, my siblings, my step-parents. And I talked to Rhonda about this.
Okay.
And there's a lot of, I feel like if I don't forgive them for the things that have happened in the past, that I can't really move on and unpack my baggage.
Okay. I agree with you.
So my birth mother, like Lisa was saying last week, and it really hit me hard. She said that her mom was on drugs, and that really resonated with me, her story, and I felt I understood her, but I felt bad that she had to go through that, because I knew what that was like. My parents got divorced when I was young. My mom, she went from meth to coke to prescription pills to mixing her prescription pills. And I don't call her my mom, I call her my birth mom, but we don't talk anymore. And my dad got remarried and just completely left my brother and I behind when he started his new life. And that's where and I don't speak with with any of them.
Okay.
I just need to I want to forgive.
And remember now, forgiveness doesn't mean that you forgive them for what they did. It's
Right.
forgiving you for holding on to all of this, because they're not even in the room now. They're not even in your day now.
Right.
Yet your day suffers because of them. And so there's 4 stages that you typically go through in a moment like this. It's the fear of, if I forgive them, am I making myself less? And then the sadness, once you truly give the forgiveness, the sadness is holy crap, I could have done this years ago. And then you go into that pit. So first you're scared to walk into fear, to walk into forgiveness. There's the fear of doing that. And then there's the sadness going, oh my gosh, what an idiot, right? How many times have we ever done that? How many times holy shnikes, you know how stupid I feel right now? I could have done this a long time ago. And it's a transference of energy. And then once you get through that, then there's the excitement of the possibilities of once it's unpacked, and now you begin to work on you. And that stuff no longer takes up space and time. That no longer takes up energetic levels. That no longer ties the knots in your stomach or makes your shoulders always stiff and sore and you can't figure out why, or the headache you get every other Tuesday, and all of this stuff. And then there's the new normal. To go from where you're at to the new normal is a process. And as you begin to take those steps, and as you begin to just say, what happens if I say yes to forgiveness? Because you know what happens in saying no to it. That's the experience you currently have. It's why the conversation is even being broached right now. What happens if I say yes? Did I lose the fight? Or did you become the champion? It's a matter of perspective at this moment. So if you did say yes to forgiveness, what story do you have to give up? Because once you forgive, you don't get to tell those stories anymore. They don't exist anymore. And that's a hard part, especially with as much as it hurts you, with as much as it hurt those around you. It's not forgiving them for their actions. It's, can you forgive you for hanging on to it for so long? And that's then where what an idiot. I could have done this yesterday. Could have had a V8. Is it okay if the new story was, yeah, I forgave him? Because part of in forgiveness is everybody around you that may or may not know the story, but people around you that know the story that will say to you this phrase that we've all heard: have you lost your mind? How can you forgive them? They're confusing you forgiving you with them thinking you're forgiving those individuals for the actions they did. When it rains outside, some people yell at the rain because they had a party, but we kind of know they're a little goofy. Some people yell at the rain because they had a wedding. Some people go out and run out in the rain when it's been a drought. Rain doesn't care what you think of it. The rain's coming whether you wanted a party or not. The rain cares not. The rain doesn't have to say forgive me. But it's the way we see the action. How many of us love to wake up to that slight rain outside, where you can just hear it through the glass, or you can hear it falling off of the rooftop or hitting the porch outside? We just want to go back to sleep. Yet if you're the guy outside having to dig the ditch, you're like, ugh. So if the old story still existed, and you forgave it for you holding on to it, what would happen to you?
I think my life will be more freeing.
Okay. And is that part of what you're resisting the forgiveness for, having a freer life? Because you were maybe told you didn't deserve a freer life?
I remember as a kid, my mom would always say, like, you have to do, like, always make sure that you're going to have, a stable job and, do X, Y, and Z, because don't ever depend on anybody to take care of you, because, like, your father, they're just going to leave.
Right.
Because of that, I've always had the stable job. I've been able to take care of myself. I have, the retirement, everything that you could think of. But am I happy doing those things? Am I happy at my job? No. We're in a pandemic and I go to work and I'm a 5 out of 10 at work. I'm there because I have to. And
Well, so let's unpack that for a second. You're a 5 out of 10 at work because you show up as a 5. You're already a 10. What's keeping you from being a 10 for you? That's where the issue is. It's not a 5 out of 10. Your 5 is probably a 15 compared to some people's.
yeah.
Yeah. How do I know that? We've never met. I know that because of what you just told me your mom told you. There's a certain amount of discipline that you have to achieve success. And you do more than most when you're operating at half gas. So here's a tough question for you. Have you ever been a 10? Not at work, just in life. Have you ever had moments of being a 10?
I don't even know.
So the answer to that's probably yes, but when it showed up, you have a filter that it all ran through that said, I have to always figure out how to stay average and keep steady. That's the word, steady.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the reality. So real quick, the 3 quick questions. Do I have my permission? Do I have your permission to help?
Yes,
Do I have your permission to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable?
of course.
Okay, permission to take you out of that uncomfortable feeling.
Yes.
Cool. The word steady is what keeps you from any extreme. You ever been on a roller coaster?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a 10. Ever been in a hot tub late at night with somebody you liked?
Yeah.
Okay, there's a 10. And the reason they get blotted out is because you're allowed to have the memory, just not the feeling of the memory. So this forgiveness is on you like a wet blanket. And that if you took that off, there'd be this new freedom just by saying that I forgive. Doesn't change who you are. It allows you to now begin to live with extremes, with the unbalance that is life. Everybody's saying, I need balance in my life. Good Lord, you better be a juggler or a unicyclist. Because if you're looking for balance, you're going to be about as sexy as a mashed potato sandwich. There's no such thing as balance. Because anytime you do one thing, the brain can't multitask. You can't multitask success. You can't multitask balance in the 5 areas of life. You're working out, unless you're doing a bench press with your girlfriend, or you got your babies on your back doing push-ups, your family ain't involved and you're working out. When you're reading, they ain't with you. When you're in the family bucket, then they're with you. But all of this stuff seems to bleed over into our lives. And then we have the overshadowing, usually the challenges of mom or parents. So if Alicia, if you gave that up today, if you said, you know what, I forgive them, and I'm going to put that stone down, what would happen?
I think I'll be happier.
Okay. Would it be okay to be happier?
Yeah.
And what would happier do for you?
I think it would make me thrive in every other area of my life.
Okay. And who would be jealous if you set down this forgiveness stone and all of a sudden you didn't, and you let forgiveness go and you gave it and it's done? Who do you think might be jealous of you being happy now? Might I give you a clue?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All of the people you're waiting to forgive.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you set that down and they no longer had control over you, they no longer had access to your soul, they no longer had access to your joy meter, they no longer had access to this. And I don't know if you know this, but they know it energetically that they control this part of you. They don't know it consciously. They may know it consciously, but energetically, there's a part of you that's connected to them because you are. Now, if you broke that connection from the forgiveness side of it, and you can use it as a tool. How many of us have ever been somewhere or been in the house and we couldn't find a screwdriver? What did you use instead of a screwdriver? Anybody ever go to the knife drawer?
A butter knife.
Yeah. And then you always got that one butter knife that's got the little twisted end on it because it didn't quite work.
Yeah.
So when we start to use a tool for something else, there's a right tool for the right job. The right tool for this right job is to understand that you don't have to worry about their jealousy. In the forgiveness, you also forgive that. You also forgive the people. When you start this process of forgiveness, there's going to be people around you. Are there people around you that know that you kind of carry these grudges? That your family wasn't the best role model for you, and they commiserate with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you give that up, you know you're gonna have to come up with a story for them too, right? Because they're the ones that use the phrase, have you lost your mind? Have you lost your memory that these people hurt you? No, I didn't lose my mind. I just decided to stop thinking about it, and I decided to forgive myself and move on. See, we give all of these words of language of movement and motion and activity and things that when it's time to move on, you can forgive and never move your butt out of your chair. The moving on happens in the mind. So there's a handful of people that it seems you have to begin this forgiveness process with. I would have you pick one. And start to see what happens when you literally say in your mind's eye and in your head and then out loud to yourself, I forgive my fill in the blank. In this forgiveness, I am set free to take care of me. They hold no power over me anymore. And I
Okay.
begin to journal that. I begin to walk through that process because this is something that everybody has. And most people can deal with it like a stone in their shoe. Yours has come to a point to where it's now causing your life to limp.
Yeah.
And it's noticeable. And people are telling you while you're running your race, they're telling you how to run with the limp, how to run with this broken part of you. We're all standing there watching you in the marathon called Alicia Griffin, and nobody's walking over to you going, take the damn stone out of your shoe. Oh, no, wait, no, you can't do that. That'd be unfair. Why would it be unfair? Well, then I could run easily. I could run effortlessly. Nobody told me I could do that. Well, on June 2nd, you're getting another little advice saying you can do that. And here's why you know that it works, because this isn't the first time you've been told you can do that.
Right.
Is it okay if you begin to become more free? Bob Parks often talks about STEM sentence completion. By giving this up, I allow myself to live freedom as forgiveness gives me the chance to if I forgive, and then write 4 or 5 times, what are the answers that come to you? So let me ask it a tough question. Do you deserve to forgive yourself?
Yeah.
And in that deserving, what have you been resisting to give yourself that freedom? Who do you think you're going to let down if you forgive?
I think it's the attachment of not having that story to tell.
So that's probably true, but who do you think you would let down if you forgave? Would you let yourself down?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And that's because that's been your defense mechanism, because you weren't going to you didn't want them to have any control over it. So the way you don't allow them to have any control is to say what they did was okay. What they did wasn't okay.
Right.
But here's the thing. Follow me on this. This is where forgiveness really takes a left-hand turn. What they did was the best they could do. Not the best they could have done, the best they did. That's the best they did. It's all they could do. Can't compare them to my mom or your dad or somebody else's grandmother or uncle, aunt, brother, sister, cousin. What they did was the best they could do. Even if it was the most horrific thing, that's all they could do. And now the reality is, do you have children yet? I don't think so.
I got a little fur baby.
Okay. So you have a little fur baby. And when you come home or you forget to feed them, that was the best you could do. You forgot. And then they remind you and they love you and they wag their tail and they do all of these things. And all of a sudden life is great again. How come they don't wake up every morning and go, do you remember 2 weeks ago you forgot to feed me? Do they walk around every time they walk by you go, "Rrr. You forgot to feed me like 4 months ago. Are you kidding me? You want me to forget that? You made me pee on the floor. I didn't want to pee on the floor, and I got in trouble for peeing on the floor. I got my nose stuck in it. Why'd you make me do that when I was a puppy? They're like, no, I want to sit on your lap. I want to lick your face. Thank goodness they don't carry around the things we carry around.
Thankfully.
Yes. So can you know what you could do? What's your puppy's name or your dog's name?
Skipper.
Skipper. Could you tell Skipper all of the things you want to forgive and see if he forgives it?
Yeah.
If his tail wags, that means it's forgiven. And then tell him another thing. Hey, Skipper, I want to know, should I forgive this? And see if his tail wags. When he picks up his head and looks at you and goes, no, don't you, that you can't forgive, I would hang on to that one. But short of that, I'd give everything away. And let Skipper deal with it, because Skipper won't remember it by the time you get up from the couch. And see how much it bothers Skipper. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then whenever the story comes back, ask Skipper, did we forgive that? And if he wags his tail, then know that it was forgiven.
Okay.
And then see, once you tell him all of the things that you held on to and the stories you held on to, ask Skipper if he still likes you.
Okay.
You're starting to feel it already, thinking about Skipper being in charge, aren't you?
Yeah.
I can hear it.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, just ask Skipper, hey, listen, I've been holding on to, I'm serious. It's valid that you talk this out, Skipper. I've been holding on all of these things, and I want to forgive him, but I'm afraid you won't like me. And you might even be surprised. His head will tilt, like when you do those noises, ooh, and their heads tilt. Like, what are you talking about? There's nothing for you that I could ever love you anymore. There's just nothing you could do. You can even spank me, yell at me, and I'll put my ears down, but I'll figure out a way to get in, nuzzle myself underneath your arm.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll forgive me. But ask Skipper, when you say, I've got all of these faults that I have around me, will you forgive me, Skipper? And do you think any less of me? He'll be like, no, you got a treat? Let's go. Does that help?
Yeah.
So you've got one of the greatest therapy doctors sitting right next to you, and they will help you through this whole thing, because as crazy as the situation is, you don't need anybody to give you any kinds of dialogue on it. Forgive, and then ask Skipper, I gave that up. Oh my gosh, I'm losing part of my identity. Do you still love me? Well, yeah, stupid. Of course I do. And I would use him as your touch base, as your touch point, to see if you give up all of this stuff, does somebody that knew you before you gave it up now still like you? And see how much logic needs to play into this whole thing. Because you and I both know it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Does that help you?
Thank you so much. Yes.
Well, thanks, Skipper. He's got the hard work ahead. His tail's going to be tired. You have the greatest resource sitting right there. Because I think you like Skipper, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I would tell Skipper, and Skipper loves you. And so as much as nobody needs to really hear the story, if you start to say it, and you're going to do, here's what I just heard download in my head. You're going to start doing it, and then you're going to go, and then they did this, Skipper, and they were just stupid, and I no longer have to worry about them. And Skipper's going to go, yeah, more. and you're going to be telling this whole story of pain and suffering, and Skipper's going to be laughing, and you're going to be laughing, and you're going to be laughing, telling the story, going, "What was I thinking?" And Skipper's going to be going, "I don't know either. Are we going for a walk?"
Yeah.
But see how if we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And now all of a sudden, you heard yourself laughing about telling Skipper this story,
Oh yeah.
right? And all of a sudden, this is folks, we all need a friend. And sometimes there's secrets that we need to tell people that nobody else ever needs to know. And Skipper will probably be the best one. Because when it's all said and done, he'll go, "Anything else? Okay, can we relax now? Because it's been about 10 minutes since I've had a nap. I got to go to sleep." You can do this. This process can start today, and you have something that will not ever doubt you, that will not ever judge you. And whatever fun things you do, there's some fun things you do that is just, it gets him fired up, gets him excited. I don't know if it's running or playing or bouncing around or playing hide or whatever, but you can tell this story to him and watch the joy that he still loves you and looks at you in your eyes, because we need that. We need that physical input. And I'd be amazed to hear what happens as you go through this process. Listen, do me a favor. Private message me. I'll give you my phone number. So when Skipper is like fed up, he can call me and go, "What did you tell Alicia? What the hell is she telling me all this crap? Oh my gosh. Now I feel like I need to go. And if Skipper needs that, have him call me and I'll help Skipper through this."
Thank you.
I love you.
Love you.
Okay. Thank you for sharing.
You.
I love it. Hey, listen, I don't know if anybody can fall in love at first sight, but have y'all seen Gigi this morning? And that hair, and knowing what's underneath that hair and that brain, and what's underneath that brain, that heart, and what all gets showed up, and the and the outpouring of just the fire hose of that smile. You can't hide it. What are you trying to hide your smile? You get over here, Gigi, and let me give you a hug. Good morning, Gigi.
Good morning, Sean.
I love it.
How are you doing today?
Gosh, I love it. I'm like, I can't be any better.
That's good. I'm happy. Okay. So it might be wash day, so I'm debating. But okay, so yesterday I kind of had a little like self-reflection moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, so yesterday was the first of the month, so I made a goal, and then I started thinking about the goal, and then I started thinking about the how, and then I'm like, ooh, maybe I should like cut this goal down. And I'm like,
well, yeah, that's when we go into the how, we get lost. So go ahead.
and I'm like, no, Gina, don't do that. You know, it's not your job to figure out the how. And then in more self-reflection, I figured out that I don't know what it is. Well, I think I do, but the fact of I don't want to put myself out there is like, I guess what I'm resisting is putting myself out there to be seen and heard.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
then,
I could tell by that. You realize that what you just said was contradicted by your body today.
it
Do you realize that? Do you realize your body did not believe that statement? How do I know?
I realized that yesterday kind of too. I'm almost like, no, Gina, stop telling yourself these things. You deserve this. Like, and it goes back to the I think I'm not enough thing.
Right, but you know how your body wanted to disprove that today? It's physically known how you put yourself out there, that you want to put yourself out there. This is the first time I've ever seen your hair in full go. So your body said, well, we ain't putting anything up and we're not tying anything down and we're not putting it in a little funny bun on top of our head, fun bun on top of our head. We're letting it go poof. We're going to be bigger than we've ever been before. And you didn't even know that. This is how your body holds and stores energy. It has freedom. Your body walked through the freedom the other day. And it now has made your hair a statement. Y'all realize this? Y'all seeing this? She said, well, I don't really want to know if I want to put myself out there. Her hair's like, you ain't going to put yourself out there? I'm going to put you out there. Boom. And it goes, woof. You're going to see me. I don't care what you think your mind is telling you.
Mhm.
You already made yourself bigger than life. So continue on with this story.
And I'm like, no, that's just the old story trying to creep back
It
in.
is the old story, but your body has taken over. Your body is doing things.
Mhm.
So when you decided to have your hair in full glory,
Mhm.
what was the thought process?
Am I going to wash it or not? And then I just
Okay.
took it out.
So let me ask you this. Are you going to wash the old story?
um, yeah.
Yeah. And
Well,
so
does I have to wash my hair? Because I'm still debating on that. Because this might take all day.
well, but that's okay. But this is how we give ourselves clues all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the clue is you deserve to be fresh. You deserve to have your new story.
Mm-hmm.
And you will do things just like Alicia's going to go talk to Skipper. When you take a shower, whether you wash your hair or not, but when you take a shower next, you're going to be washing away the old story. Imagine all of the soap suds going down the drain. That's the old story. And you just get to stand there and go, bye-bye. I don't know where your drain is. It's probably not on the side of a wall. It's probably on the floor like most of ours. So you can look down and go, bye-bye, bye-bye. We need these metaphors. We need these visuals. We need these things because otherwise it sits and it doesn't change. We change the way we look at things. The things we look at change. The law of opposites states that for everything that is absolutely horrible, there's something absolutely brilliant. It can't not be. The law of opposites exists. And it is the exact opposites. Whatever center is, however far away it is, if you've got joy, there's an equal amount of sadness that exists in that same moment that you choose not to see. Right? How can I sit and watch something where they start to pay honor and respect to somebody military and I just start bawling? And Michelle and Mason sit in the room and they start to look at each other and they start to go, because they know how long it's going to take me to start crying. How can they sit there and why do I get so emotional? What's your story? What triggers you? When is it okay for you to have more of what you want and less of what you don't?
Now.
Okay. And if you have more now, I think your hair just got bigger. Look at that. I think if you have more now, what does that mean you have to have less of?
What I don't want.
Right. And is it okay if you give up what you don't want?
Yes.
I mean, it sounds crazy to ask that.
Right.
Can you sit in joy?
I can. I feel like it's like consciously, like I know this, but it's like that little subconscious just pops back up whenever it feels like it.
It does. And that's because it's trying to hang on. And remember, the brain says, I'm looking for a pattern. And right now it can't recognize the pattern in this. So if you were to start moving in joy, how would you move sitting there? What would joy, right? Motion creates emotion. What would you start doing? How would you start moving? There you go. Do you feel it different now? I don't know how you do. I don't know how. See how. I don't know how girls can dance. I mean, I know how they can dance, but I just have no idea how what you just did. It would take me a month of Sundays to try to figure out, and it would be a good comedy show. But there's no way I can. How do you move? Like everything moves, anyways. But do you see how that feels better?
Yes.
So just moves. Just start moving. And that's really what it is, right? Because remember, we talked about this the other day, you getting small or getting big, and you just got big raising your hands up. Ain't that fun?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yes, it does.
Cool. And here's the good news, folks. Some of you may be saying, well, yeah, but she had her breakthrough the other day, or what seemed like a breakthrough. How does it always come back? If you're asking that, it's because you're asking that. It happens to all of us. Part of the reason I choose to do these calls every single day is for me to stay out of my way. Because I spend an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, an hour and a half, I spend an hour out of my way in giving and receiving the laughs and the giggles. I get to know Skipper now, right? All of this to say, this gives me space. Can you be in giving? Can you give away the things that you love most so that you can have more of what you want? This is about being in flow. We don't want anything to be stagnant because we know what happens to stagnant water and stagnant energy. So I'd be shaking those hands and moving that thing and shaking that thing your mama gave you, whatever those phrases are. Does that help, Gigi?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
And you usually have a follow-up question.
Do I have one? No.
Okay, good. No, I just saw you shaking and moving, so that's good. I love you.
I love you too. I love you guys all too.
Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, Sean. How are you?
Good morning, my love.
So, I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
And it's funny because you talked about like having your breakthrough and then it coming back. And like I've been going through my own stuff. And like I have these periods where I'm like a person of extremes. I'm either like or extremely joyful and like, let's go. And I have so much energy and I'm fired up. Or I'm like something or like an accumulation of things happens and I'm just like path and like I just lose all my energy. I feel exhausted. I feel sad. And, you know, like right now I'm just feeling so exhausted and kind of down. And like, I just want to sleep all the time. It is like a kind of exhaustion that sleep can fix.
Yep.
And it's like, how do you deal with that? And it's often something that I don't see coming.
So have you ever gone to the ocean? Usually this is where a lot of people experience it, to the ocean and just sat at the ocean's edge. And then at the end of the day, you're like, oh my God, I'm so tired. And you didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Well, it's finally your body's starting to level out. So this exhaustion that you're feeling is literally a detoxing. I would encourage you more water.
More water?
Yes, because it's the detoxing that's slowing down in your body and you're letting go all of the old story that's physically stored up in your body. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but I would monitor your excrements, your pee, and don't be surprised if it's changing colors and you're like, that's normally happens when I'm working out. Because there's some things that your body is removing, and just like when you go through a detox, your body starts to slow down because there's so much pollution in the blood that it can't get rid of it. So I would encourage you, drink more water. And if you can drink alkaline water, higher pH water, that would be even better for you during this time.
But like, because I always feel bad when I slow down, because I'm like someone that's active and everything, but like,
Well, yeah, because the high energy was to hide all of the pain. And now you have to sit at being normal. I know I'm a pain in the ass, but the high energy was to hide the pain.
maybe a little bit, but I do feel
Well,
good
not
though.
maybe a little bit. That's your story. I'm just telling you the rest of the truth. That's exactly, well, that's the only reason why you did it. Now the high energy is because you wanted to be high energy, but it was so that nobody could see the pain you were in. And then when you're sad, you're usually by yourself. You're not around people. Said, I'm hanging up. This guy, it's like, I don't know how he knows what he does. I'm out of here.
Yeah, but the energy is often just pure joy as well. So.
Well, but so is evil. Pure energy. Pure energy is pure energy, right? The symbol for love and or destruction in something in Japanese is the same character. Energy is just energy. It's how we decide to use it. That's why somebody could be laughing at a funeral and somebody could be crying at a funeral. It's not the funeral, it's how we interpret it. It's what do we do with the story that we see.
Okay, and like, because when I feel like this, I feel like I just need to like resource myself a little bit more, and like I just want to disconnect from some stuff, especially now. Like
Sure, that's the story to keep you from joy. What do you have to disconnect from? What is there to disconnect? You can't disconnect. That's a story, and you put up a wall to disconnect from joy. Go ahead, hold your hands in front of your eyes and stop the sun. Right? You can't disconnect. It's all around you. You can choose not to use it. How many of us have ever been, so I'm going to ask this to the group, how many of us have ever really been so frustrated with somebody that when they said, I love you, you wanted to poke them in the eye with a hot stick? I love you. You just shut your ass up. And then they say, but I love you. I told you don't even, blah, blah, right? So check the story that's saying, I just need to disconnect and recharge. That's part of an old story going, well, you don't deserve joy right now. That's what it's really saying, but it's saying it in a language that you're okay with using. And then I come along, you go, well, I just want to disconnect. Oh, so you don't want to be in joy? No, jackass. I just need to disconnect. I need to relax. You are relaxing. How could you not be relaxing? Joy's not relaxing? When does joy take energy? When do you have to suffer in joy? I can't do joy right now. Really? We're all full on crazy. Go pedal that someplace else. See, because you're laughing right now, and it's like, I don't even want to be laughing right now. I need to, how's he, whoa, what is he, I can't believe what he's doing. I can't believe what you're doing. You're having fun. Is it okay for you to be in joy?
Of course.
Can you sit? Can you sit? Have you ever sat in joy watching and waiting on somebody to open a present? And have you ever sat waiting and watching for somebody to receive a surprise? In full joy. And it was the anticipation of them receiving it, of them opening it. See, How many of you have ever sat in that state? You're just about ready to watch somebody open a present, and you're absolutely about ready to burst at the seams. If you've ever been that joyous, type a J in the chat. Y'all ready for this? Dun, 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 dun. So, I sit every morning like that here. I sit every morning in that same joy, waiting and watching each of you ready to unwrap your present. And when you don't unwrap your present today, I show up tomorrow going, today's going to be the day. Oh my God, today's going to be the day. And then you do it. And if you don't do it and you come back and I go, oh my gosh, I get to open the present again. How cool is this? Because that's what you get today, Julie. You get to unwrap the present again today. Is your screen frozen? Okay, good. Because I was getting nervous. It's frozen. Does that make sense, folks? I get to sit there and I get to watch Gigi unwrap her joy.
And that
And me,
present,
I get to watch him unwrap his joy. Go ahead, Bob.
that present could be just the present.
Yeah. Shocking. Let's get Julie back in. And that's why I sit here, because every morning I get to sit here and watch presents being unwrapped. I get to see how Skipper plays in the solution problem like no one else could, better than I could ever think about serving Alicia. Skipper's our man. Who believes Skipper's going to give Alicia some amazing freedom? If you believe Skipper's going to be an amazing coach today, type an S in the chat. Go Skipper. Julie, you back?
Yes.
There you are. So this is funny. There's the screen above you. That's where you're frozen. And there's you. That's it.
There?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's kind of funny. I'm going to just take a little quick screenshot, the two of you. So, is it okay for you to have joy?
Of course.
Cool. And how much joy should you have today?
Unlimited.
Cool. And so do you know what like amazing joy feels like?
Mm-hmm.
Tell your face. Because you're hiding it. You're doing a good job hiding it. Your face is going, I know what joy is. Sure. I got joy coming out my butt right now. I'm so joyous, you and your joy. Right. Speaking of somebody that understands joy in that way, RBP, what would you share with Julia?
What? You always throw me under the bus.
and careful. Toot, toot, toot. Thump, 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 thump.
Do y'all see? Do y'all see what he does? He does, doesn't he, Dakaya? He does. He's like, Rhonda. Oh my gosh.
And it comes out of nowhere.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. At least we can get some joy out of it. So
It's
what
pretty
we
much
actually
that's why I
want-
do it. It's mostly for me.
It is. It is. What were you asking me?
Julia's sitting here and we're talking about joy. And so she's talking about sometimes I just need to disconnect and I need to recharge and I need to and joy can sit on the sidelines for a while.
Yeah.
I'm like,
So it's funny, Julia, that you were saying that, because that has tried to settle on me yesterday and today, especially after a phenomenal Sunday. It was like Sunday was, things that I've never done before I accomplished on Sunday. It was with a group of amazing people, but nonetheless, I worked my hind end off and it was an amazing accomplishment. And yesterday, there was one point where I laid everything down, and my little 8-year-old and she and I were just hanging around. We do this little game, and I draw a squiggle, and she has to make a picture out of it. And then she gets to draw a squiggle, and I have to make a picture out of it. And I find myself, I was sitting there, and at one point in time, she nudged me, and I was like, she was like, Mom, you fell asleep when you were drawing. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I just totally passed out drawing. Now I have been doing a lot. And this morning I was sitting here going, you know, I bet if I just messaged Sean real quick and told him, look, I'm going to just go lay back down. No, it'd be fine. And then you pop on and you start asking this question, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is what is happening. I just had this huge success, and now my old story is going, oh dear God, she busted through the barriers. What can I do now? Shut her down, shut her down, shut her down. Don't let her stay awake. Don't let her stay awake. And I'm like, oh, so I've drank my whole glass of water. I've got about that much of my water. When Sean said drink water, I'm like, where's the water? I need water. I need water. And it's funny how we will allow our body to take over like that when we're getting success, when we're moving forward, when we're finally having a moment. Because if it can put you to sleep, then it can put you into some dreams that you used to have, and it can wake you up in the state that you were in before you ever woke up to this state. And it's quite interesting that that's what's happening. And you going through this, I'm sorry that you're going through it, but I'm kind of glad you're going through it, because you woke me up a little bit more so today. You woke me up, and I'm like, you know, there's not enough coffee in the world when your old story jumps on you. There is not enough. I mean, it's like, okay. And it is the book, The Ant and the Elephant. And it is waking up that ant enough to go, okay, you've got to take charge of this conscious mind, because woo, it's about to put me, it's about to put me down. So at the beginning of this call, these are the few things that I wrote down. I wrote down, why don't I show up for myself as a 10? When Alicia was talking about hers, it pairs perfectly with what you're talking about. Why don't you, Julia, show up for yourself as a 10? If one of your girlfriends called right now, or one of your people's called right now and said, hey, this is what's going on, I need you, you would be there like that, and you would be in full energy, and you would be like, what do we have to do to get you past this? And without fail. But why won't you do that for yourself? Why won't you call a 911 or call an audible, so to speak, if you watch football, which I don't know if you watch football, American football. Why don't you call an audible and go, yep, we got to do something. Something's not right. Something's got to come. Something's got to change right now. And you do it for yourself. Why do we have to have other people as a stimulus for us to wake up and do more? And become more at that moment. So I wrote down, why don't I show up as a 10 for myself? And why don't I show up as a 10 more often in moments with my family? And that one was for me. And then I also wrote, in the special journal, the one with the little claspy thing that I never let anybody see in, I wrote down some other thoughts. And my first sentence today, Julia, was, I'm tired today. No word of a lie. I'm tired today. And I feel I need more sleep. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm feeling guilty for the way I'm spending my time. And it's funny. It's so funny.
Attention Kmart shoppers. Attention Kmart shoppers.
Exactly.
We have a blue light special on self-doubt. Self-doubt, 2 for 1 on aisle 4. Self-doubt, 2 for 1 on aisle 4.
That's exactly it. It's exactly it. And I was sitting there, and as Sean was talking to you through this, I was dissecting my thoughts, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And my last paragraph in here was on 5/31. It was a wild day, and I learned that lots can change in a few hours. And when I fully concentrate and focus, that's when I can move mountains. That was my last sentence. But see, how can I fully concentrate and focus if I'm passed out? How can I move those mountains that I know? You're a mountain mover, Julia. You're a mountain mover. But if your old story can lull you to sleep, all you can do is sleep. That's it. But you know you've got it in you. So your old story does something to the effect of, well, if you want to move a mountain, it's going to take a lot of energy. And in order to get a lot of energy, you need to rest so your body can be fully prepared to move this mountain. And then you have this 30-minute dialogue with yourself and you're like, you know, I need to just sleep. And away you go. Away you go. And then there's Sean, who does some sort of crazy voice or wild notion or wild thought. And you're like, dadgummit, now I can't go to sleep. Thank God. Which is why
I drink and I know things.
Yeah, I drink and I know that. Yes. Oh, y'all, that's more true than you realize. But this is why, Julia, this is why you spoke up on this call. And this is why this time last year, I joined arms with Sean. I grabbed a hold of him and was like, wake my butt up. Because there's one thing I know, if I kept going, I would sleep more often and I would stay spiritually asleep and physically asleep more often than I would awake. So I would ask you, who do you have in your life that will keep you from falling asleep?
Right now, myself.
Well,
and are you enough?
Yeah.
I guess, but how does that look like in actions, like showing up for yourself as a 10? Like, Rhonda, what do you personally do? Like when you have that moment, like, okay, I can go to sleep, which I'm exhausted, my body tells me to, or no, I'm gonna take action, probably doing something for your business, but what does that look like on a daily basis?
Okay, so that's a really good question. I have during the day, I have two things that keep me from that. One, God gifted me a child. I can't be sleeping when there's a kid running around the house doing who knows what and who knows where. So God gifted me a child right now during this time of my life for that. It would be the same thing as if you got a puppy. You could sleep, you're going to wake up to a whole bunch of messes. You know, you're going to wake up to a whole bunch of messes. The other thing is when I'm back in my cushy bed and this alarm goes off to get up and either exercise or get on this call. Obviously, I hadn't exercised. I'm in my robe still. My motivation, if it's at the lowest of the low, if I can't show up for myself, and I'm not going to lie, there's times where I can't. It just seems like it's impossible. I do, so that's wrong, but it seems like I can't, is I tell myself, oh my gosh, what if Sean's call gets hacked and none of those people get to stay on because hackers get on? I've at least got to go be the Zoom police. So that's another reason why I linked with Sean. Sean's consistency, until I make myself consistent enough, Sean's consistency and his expectations of my consistency, not his success, his expectations of my consistency, keep me going. So I knew I needed something or someone else to keep me moving through those tired moments. That's why I've told Sean 100 times, I can't be the only one smart enough to realize if they need consistency in their life to grab a hold of Sean, whether it's a coattail or whatever, and either flapping the breeze as he just keeps running through life and I'm going, I'm holding on, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm holding on. Or link arms with him and actually run beside him. And there's days where I run beside him and there's days where I just hang on. But that's what it looks like to me.
There's days I take a hard left and watch her keep running going.
Yeah, there he is. And he does it on purpose. But it wakes me up. So Julia, that's a couple of things. My daughter, my husband, and Sean and his consistency. Those are the things I have to have. And then I put things in place, like in the mornings, I do my devotion. So when I do show up, I show up spiritually better, or at least with some sort of spiritual nugget in my brain that's stuck in my head that maybe I can share with somebody. And now I'm learning to show up with my daughter, not only just show up, but soak in the moments. What does her eyes look like when she's looking at her Legos and she's imagining this huge building, and she's got the story going through her head? Or what is my husband thinking, which is really hardly ever anything. My husband has like the blankest mind. He just kind of is there, not in a bad way. He's super smart. He just kind of sits there. He doesn't let anything bother him. And I look at him and go, what's he thinking? And, you know, I wonder how tired are his hands today from working so hard? So I show up now in those moments. I show up here now that I've been consistent enough, even on the days that I'm tired, and I hear Alicia speak for the first time, and we've talked recently, and she finally gets the courage to speak up. Now I can show up and I can be in that moment. So the first step, Julia, is kick the, oh, I've got to have some sleep, and what the world tells you of, oh, just, get rest, oh, get rest. Kick that to the curb and go, you know what? I'll sleep when I die. I'll get plenty of sleep then. And you can go to the point of exhaustion if you're in your old story. But when you're in this new story and you're functioning in that vibration and in that excitement of, woo, I don't know what's fixing to happen because nothing's planned, you function in a way that it's not exhaustion. When you hear that lulling, oh, but this is what we do, and we rest, and you feel better after you wake up. When you begin to hear that voice, run, literally get out and run or walk or exercise or dance or something. Because that's what I was about to do here in just a minute. It was like, oh my gosh, if I don't do something, I'm going to lay down in my cushy bed. So does that help you, how I said that? Does that kind of give you ideas to what it looks like and sounds like?
Absolutely. I love you. Thank you, Rhonda.
I love you.
Because, and I'm going to say this, and you know my heart, I love you. You sure as heck don't need any more beauty sleep.
No.
You's beautiful, girl. Come on now. None of y'all need any beauty sleep. This is the old story going, oh, how can I trick them? So just be aware of it. And here's the thing. There's not a single we've all heard of placebos, right? Where we take a sugar pill and we go, I'm cured. And you go, yeah, idiot. It was a sugar pill. You cured yourself. There's also something called a nocebo. And a nocebo is I could give you the absolute cure and there's not a dang thing your body will do to accept that. It will produce the chemicals to counteract that. And so I would encourage you to just be aware that don't run on your battery. Find the alternator that charges you. Find that thing that gives you the juice. Right? Your favorite song. When'd you listen to it last?
This morning.
Yeah.
I went for a walk and I feel more energized than yesterday.
So I would listen to, so you listened to it this morning. Have you listened to it more than once today?
No.
No, and it's your favorite song.
Right.
So who told you couldn't listen to your favorite song?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's little things like that. If you do you have it close? Can you play it on your phone right now?
Yeah.
Where do you have the song? Turn it on.
Right now?
Yeah, well, yeah, no. Can you do it any other time? Do it 4 hours when we're not here.
Have to.
And the reason is because in getting ready to turn on your song, you already start to feel the joy. I can see your body changing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the power of music. That smile is different, isn't it? Everybody that's seeing it. And just play your song. You can mute. You can get up and dance around. We know you're nuts. It's not like you're going to prove something new by you getting up and dancing around. Right?
I'll do that more.
So this is all about you taking care of you. Being you is important.
Mm-hmm.
Does that help?
Absolutely. Thank you, Sean. I have one last question attached to
Sure.
that. Like, again, about journaling, because it's something new to me, and I'm, I haven't done it yet, but yeah, I just got to do it. But what is the difference between journaling, like when you're feeling negative, you're writing down your thoughts, which can be negative,
Right.
but we often hear like you have to do affirmations and be positive and not pay attention to your negative thoughts. But what are you doing when you're journaling your negative thoughts?
So you're journaling your negative thoughts and then look at those and go, isn't that interesting? What's the opposite of it? What's the antithesis of it? What's the law of opposites say about that negative state? What changes about it? What would be the opposite of that state? And I would journal that. If that's the statement, if that's the fact, ask the question to the opposite of that.
Mm-hmm. So if you're feeling negative, like it's not about ignoring it, it's acknowledging it, but.
Well, you could even just think it and go, "Aw, I love you." Kind of like a big old mean dog coming up to you. And you know it's not going to bite you, but most people run from it. And the thing was like, well, that's how it says hello. Well, that sure is not how I hear hello. But this negative thought shows up, go, "Aw, trying to protect me. I love you." And you just, because why would you, listen, have you ever asked yourself, why would I have a negative thought?
Yeah.
But why would you have a negative thought? How many negative thoughts get you to positive?
True.
Right? I mean, I know well, that's a silly question. 2 wrongs don't make a right. 2 negative thoughts don't make a positive.
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself, what is the opposite of the negative thought? Become aware of it. Don't just go, I'm going to keep everything in a box, because that thing will explode. Just be aware of it. Go, "Aw, I love you, negative thought. What's the opposite of you?"
Mm-hmm.
And then be aware of it. And then decide which of those 2 you want. I got a chair with a nail in it, and I got a chair with no nail in it. Which one are you going to sit on?
Choice. Yeah. You often forget that we have a choice.
Yeah. And the choice really comes down to joy or misery. Sassafrasa, this whole freaking goes back to joy and misery. Says that one more time.
Everything sounds so easy, but it is easy.
I'm going to punch him right in the nose. He keep telling me joy or misery. I'll show you joy. Come over here. You're within 3 feet of me. I'll show you joy. I'll show you a fistful of joy. I'm so happy. Pow!
Okay, I got it. Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome. I love you.
Love you. Thank you.
See, I drink. I know things. Well, there we are, top of the hour. RBP, you want to give us a wrap?
Oh, I muted myself and then I remuted. Then I unmuted.
That's funny that way.
It is, isn't it? A wrap. Yeah, don't sleep. No sleep. No sleep. No sleep. Sleep, the 5 or 6 hours that you need. And then get up and dance around and motivate yourself. I'm learning that the more I kick the old story square in the face, actually I said the other day, it's funny, I kick the old story square in the nuts, and when it comes back, I throat punch it. And that's the way I look at it.
This is our little flower, East Texas flower.
That's the only way I can seem to make it happen. But every single time I do that, more success comes rushing in. And it comes rushing in at like crazy levels. And that's what I was talking to Sean last night about, or yesterday about. I'm like, June is going to be so fast and so unbelievable, because I've had enough with the sleep. I've had enough with being lulled to sleep in life and just letting it pass by because of how everybody else wants to say we should live, and how everybody else says, just, you know, just relax through. Why can't you be relaxed while you're having fun and running with success and running with us? And if you don't have somebody like that, find the person that does that for you. That's why I grabbed a hold of Sean, because he's got a pretty good handle on it. I didn't. I'm getting better. And those days where I regress, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to hurry. Sean's taking off, you know, and Sean takes off at like, who knows when. Like the other day, no word of a lie, y'all, we were on a call and he was barely there because he needed a 15-minute nap. And so I just got off the phone with him and I clicked leave on the Zoom, and he never knew I clicked leave. And about 30 minutes later, he calls me back. He's like, oh my God, was I asleep? How much did I miss? And there he was, back up again. And off he went. And I'm like, oh my gosh, hang on, here we go. So find the person that does that with you. Find the person that is so consistent and stays so energized and so much in joy that you can't help but laugh and giggle around them, and you can't help but keep running into success. And for the love of Pete, if you hear that sweet little, you know what, you just need to go to sleep and you just need to rest. Run.
You deserve it. You should rest.
Yeah, you deserve to sleep and rest. You deserve, it's okay. Your family will exist without you, even though they're, you know, infants and children. They'll exist just fine without you. Run, run, run. Dance, do the GG dance, throw your arms up, do something. Don't do that, Sean. I'm kidding. You can do that, Sean. You drink and you know things. Look at him pout, y'all. Look at him. See? Choose joy, Sean. And
yeah, I got you, Joy. I got a bucket full of joy over here.
So I hope y'all have an amazing day. I hope y'all laugh a lot. I hope you smile a lot. I hope you find somebody that doesn't have an ounce of joy and you give them some of yours, or you show them where theirs is at. And you just open up that can and let it flow all over them, and then sit back and watch them get happy about you helping them find their joy. So I love y'all.
I appreciate you. And I just want to say, Samantha Willie, I watched you giggle sometimes, and I absolutely loved it. That is joy embodiment when you would giggle and that smile and you would just go at it. So thank you for showing up today, Samantha. It's a privilege and honor to have you in our community and sharing your joy with us. So
Thank you, Sean.
there you go. All right, folks. Well, there's another day. There's another wrap. I appreciate y'all. We'll get to do this again tomorrow morning. Follow me on social media, and this will be up in the YouTube channel, youtube.com/mentor2mentor. Y'all can watch it again. I appreciate y'all. Love you tons. I'm Sean Murphy, founder of Mental Profits. I drink and I know things. I'll see you where?
At the next event.
Yes, Samantha. Woohoo! Y'all send some love to each other.
I love you
Bye,
guys.
guys. I love you.
Love you guys.
Everybody.
I love you guys so much.
Yay.
Love y'all. Have a good day.
Bye.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Tekaya.